Welcome to BW Business World. This is another episode of Wednesday Wisdom. I am host for today, and for today's episode of Wednesday Wisdom, I'm joined by Mr. Raghav Gupta, who is Managing Director of Coursera India. We have another guest with us, who is Sameer Maya, who is Chancellor Sameer Vidya Vihar University. Maya Vidya Vihar University. Welcome, panelists. Today we are here to discuss are the needs of higher education in India. Of course, what are the implications? What companies and providers need to offer in terms of grooming students and making them future ready? I wish to come to you, Gaurav, first. Tell us what are the key industry trends and implications for higher education you have observed in recent times. And tell us what are some of the new initiatives Coursera is doing in that regard.
Hi, Resham. Good morning, everyone. Wonderful to be here. Just confirming the question was for me. The audio was breaking up a little bit on my side. Resham? Okay, I'm going to assume it was for me and get us started, and then maybe Resham will
That's right. That's right. Raghav, this is the question for you. Yes, of course.
Yeah. So, I have the advantage of a bit of a ringside view to what's happening within the country as well as outside. Coursera is a fairly large platform. Crores of individuals come to Coursera to learn. There are hundreds of universities and companies that create content which is available on Coursera. And then we also work with many businesses and campuses and government organizations who are skilling their stakeholders, learners through the platform. I would say we are seeing from a higher education perspective 4 key things that I think are top of mind for many leaders in academia. And these are not really surprising. These are what you would imagine are the right things. I see a lot of leaders in academia focused on strengthening academic excellence of their institutions. The world industry skills have changed quite rapidly post-pandemic. So there's a big focus on delivering industry-aligned curricula and also building faculty competency on the domains that faculty teach, but also digital skills, also the ability to teach online are both parts of strengthening academic excellence. The second point, or the second strategic goal that I see a lot of leaders focused on is driving student employability and placements. We've seen a big rise in the value of industry micro-credentials. And so campuses are bringing in industry micro-credentials to enable their students to succeed in their career aspirations and also, providing placement opportunities within the country, but as well as outside. So exciting job opportunities for their students. The third one is growing rankings and brand perception. So how does, an institution work towards strengthening student and employer brand perceptions? How do you continuously work on NIRF rankings, NAC ratings, THEQS rankings, and so on? And then finally, accelerating revenue growth as well. Online is providing opportunity to launch new programs. There is regulation which says online degrees can be launched by many institutions, so both on campus and online programs. And by being able to deliver all of this value to students and to learners, how do you continue to attract students to come to your institution? So those would be the 4 broad themes, broad strategic goals that we are seeing in terms of what is top of mind for leaders in academia.
I strongly agree with you, Raghav. When you said that the broader part of the ecosystem is consistently focused on academic excellence and, of course, domain expertise and the expertise of teaching online and offline as well. Coming to you, Mr. Somaya, the future of learning and work is different from the past very much. We just discussed, and hence we need to focus on our styles of teaching and learning. What steps are you taking to meet students' expectations and industry needs for jobs in areas such as, let's say, AI or ML or blockchain or many more?
So I'll try to answer this a little more generally. Firstly, I think content knowledge of any subject that you teach or what the student joins you to learn has to be a combination of its timeless fundamentals and its current cutting edge practice. So you have to bring in what were the principles that have been there, and what are the new discoveries taking place. Now, this has to be a combination of three types of learning. One will have to be a serious study of theory, and that would be how well it is taught, but a serious understanding, and one in which you become or understand the theory very well. That is one. The second aspect would be internships. So the subject you choose, if I take an example of, say, biology or the life sciences or the environmental sciences, then an experiential learning of what that subject means. So if I would further get into some detail, if you want to understand how macronutrients and micronutrients affect our food systems, it's not sufficient to only understand the theory of what an NPK does, which is necessary. Yeah? So the theory knowledge is a necessary condition. What I'm saying in mathematical terms, it is not a sufficient condition. You want to then go into the field and try and understand the effect of the use in terms of, and the best way to do it is through internships. And internships are done with what I will say partners, academic partners, which would is here mean industry partners, research organizations, where a student's mind opens up with that exposure as to what that theory and the practice result. And then, of course, the experimentation for the student to discover for himself or herself the use of that practice in a real life environment. So you expand your learning base. And the third aspect, I think you're going to cover it later, is to also provide a place for startups. And I can talk about, that later, but, where you provide a student who wants to, an opportunity to try and engage to be their own entrepreneurs. So so this is the way I think we look at it.
So good to know. I mean, it's of course not really sufficient when it comes to only theory focused studies, and we as an ecosystem, or let's say the providers of education, leaders are right now trying to offer experiential learning, when students can go out on the ground and do practically what they study and what they wish to. Raghav, coming to you, you talked about industry micro credentials. What is its role? And of course, how is Coursera enabling campuses to build their career pathways if we are discussing higher education in India?
So we recently did a survey, Visham, and we went out and interviewed about 3,300 students and about 1,600 employers and companies. And we did these in 11 countries. And this was a survey about the role of industry micro-credentials in higher education. And we looked at, of course, India, but we also looked at a lot of European countries, the US, and so on and so forth. And it was a fairly detailed survey, but essentially we asked students questions around, look, do you see value in learning on campus, but also taking an industry micro-credential where a company like Google or IBM or Meta might be teaching you a particular topic? And the results were really strong in terms of what students said. 96% of students said professional certificates will help them succeed in a job eventually when they get into a job, right? Equally large number said a micro-credential from industry will help them get a job as well. So, get a job, succeed in a job, both of those. And then students went on to say, look, if my university is offering me the opportunity to take an industry micro-credential while I'm studying at the university, while I'm doing my degree at the university, I'm 81% more likely to enroll in that university. I want to study at a university where I can get an industry micro-credential. And then we asked employers, do you see merit in a student who you're interviewing having a strong degree and also a micro-credential? And the messaging was again very similar and quite consistent, right? I don't think employers were saying we don't want a degree, because that's been a question that's been asked, that will the degree importance change? Will it go away? A lot of employers said students with great degrees and also a micro-credential will see a lot of benefit, coming into our careers and so on. And I think about 3 years ago, we'd also done some work with McKinsey where we'd said, look, for students who are coming into entry-level jobs, what are these kind of jobs that can be learned? And from our perspective, from Coursera, what are these kind of jobs that can be learned online? And not surprisingly, many of these jobs are in high demand fields. So they are in, software and IT, they are in data and analytics, they are in business related topics. And McKinsey had said there are 75 such industry micro credentials where there are entry level jobs that are going to be available around the world as well as in India. And so far, we've created industry micro credentials for 27 of these. This is around topics like front-end developer, which Meta, Facebook teaches on Coursera, or data analytics from Google, or how do you become a sales development representative from Salesforce. And I think in India, about 9 lakh people have come and taken these 27 entry-level industry micro-credentials. So I'm using a lot of data just to illustrate the point that bringing industry micro-credentials along with what students are learning on campus is quite powerful. We've called this a career academy where you can actually come and, as a part of career services of a university, learn this career academy related industry micro credentials, and it seems to be adding a lot of value to campuses.
The point where you said that, I mean, just to reiterate and just to reframe what you said is the good blend of what they're studying on campuses, and of course their professional certificates, if they wish to, can give them a very enhanced career pathways, they believe, and the numbers are of course showing it. There's another challenge, Sami, when it comes to give experience, and if I can say, there is a challenge of engaging. I mean, delivering engaging content. How are you addressing that at your university when it comes to delivering engaging content, especially around skills and technologies?
So I'll address it in 3 ways. Firstly, taking what Raghav just mentioned. Earlier I talked about the experiential learning if you're doing in the life sciences, where you will give exposure as an example to the students on food systems, or it could be an internship in a polymer science company. Another is exactly what we said, and we have been working with Coursera, and so that where a student can supplement his or her education with a particular content delivery provided on a platform such as Coursera. I personally have also taken a full course on an online platform with a certification, just to understand what the experience of a delivered course on an online platform is. So, rather than just, understand it again in theory, and it is something completely different to actually experience it, do those evaluations, and get a final certificate in practice. And I wanted to do that just so that I understand what this new world is about. That is, again, so I think it's important that we give this, what I will consider out of campus experiences and opportunities, whether it's in an online world where somebody else is teaching a course in a manner which may be better than you can deliver it, or different than what you provide. Second is, as I said, about the internships where you supplement, and I again repeat, theory is necessary, theory to practice. A third aspect also would be you provide tremendous opportunities for students to collaborate on campus on projects that expand their learning, which was inside the classroom. A simple example could be you may have a project of say an off-road car project, which then competes internationally, or you have a formula racing car, or you have a robotics event, for which students need to actively collaborate day and night while they prepare. Their theory has to be supplemented and much more by what they also learn outside the classroom. So you also provide those kind of experiences which are collaborative and competitive at the same time. So now we are having 3, therefore. One is the theory in the classroom. Another is possibilities and opportunities in an online world. third is experience in an internship, which could be outside the classroom where you learn or discover what is done and outside. Fourth could be a research internship where you go and try and develop a
Of
pure
course, or project-based learning as well.
that's
Yeah.
right. And then there's this the other one is where you work on collaborative teams on the campus. It
course.
could be a newspaper you write on the campus. It could be a racing car that you make, which you compete globally on. That's also so that is the way we try to give it. But importantly, we also think that education should also be converted to a more holistic thing, which today's learning, what is relevant today may not be relevant 10 years later. You might find yourself in a completely different field. So we also believe that learning and also that you must need a wider understanding of the world you live in, the sociology of it, the environment of it. So we also believe that you need to give a much more holistic platform with a whole program of delivering minors, delivering, you might want to study, say, music. You might want to study Hindustani classical. You might want to study history. We believe that is also important from developing you as a good student. And so,
Equally.
I'm just, so you might become a journalist and you might become a journalist as you are online or in print. And so I think we need all these things together in which we prepare students for tomorrow.
If
Good
I
to
can
know.
just
Raghav, would you-
quickly,
yeah,
I'm
I was
sorry to
coming to
interrupt.
this. Yeah, sure.
I mean, I would fully echo what Samir said, right? And maybe just paint a
course.
picture with an example as well. So, and this is, very radically different from how many of us have experienced higher education ourselves, right? When I went to do my mechanical engineering, 99% of the education came from the faculty of the university. But what Samir said, a BSc data science student at Somaiya Vidya Vihar might also, along with learning from faculty on campus, take the Google Data Analytics Industry Micro-Credential on Coursera, might go and do an internship at Axis Bank, and I'm just making all of this up as example, to see how data analytics is applied in a banking financial services situation, and then might also need to learn Tableau as a software because that's what a lot of data analytics people work on. And Coursera has something called guided projects where you can actually come and apply Tableau and use it so that before you actually get a job in that particular domain, you know how to use it. And then finally, you might start as a data analyst in a bank like Axis Bank or ICICI Bank or something like that. And that's today's, I think, approach to education, where there's so much collaboration within a campus, but also with industry which sits outside of campus. And, sometimes we all wonder, right, where is this headed? And is this online education? Is this on-campus education? What's the right way to think about it? And I was at this conference 2 weeks ago, and the chief learning officer of ArcelorMittal was on the panel with me, and somebody asked her, how do you think about balancing online and offline, and what are you providing to your employees? And she said, to my mind, the best way to think about it is to think about this as education and learning. It's not a matter anymore of what is in person, what is online, but it is just education with a lot of collaboration across universities, across industry happening, to Samir's point on internships and experiential learning as well.
But still, the question remains, especially when it comes to the workforce that is actively working in a company, they will look forward to some better outcomes when they have invested their time and their resources in learning. One. Two, when it comes to online learning, it is very critical to the content to be very engaging. During COVID, we saw kids doing something else behind the screens, and that was a big challenge for teachers, be it from school level or the higher education level. You very rightly, added to what Samir said, and Samir also highlighted that project-based learning, or let's say internship, are must be there to supplement what's being taught in theory classes. Raghav, you lead Coursera campuses that was launched in 2019. Tell us, you have already partnered with some of the campuses. What are the outcomes you have seen or what has been the experiences of those campuses in terms of when they've already signed for Coursera courses? What are some of the results you have seen?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you said, Coursera for Campus coincidentally was launched just a few months before the pandemic. And it was launched in October 2019. And in March 2020, when campuses closed, we made it free for everybody, right? All colleges and universities and students. And about 1,100 campuses in the country, lakhs of students, benefited from it being available for free all over 2020 and 2021. And then we've gotten into longer term partnerships, with Somaiya Vidya Vihar, like Samir mentioned, and others as well. Some of the results that we are seeing, which are tangible results, and maybe I can share two of them. Students are coming, learning on the platform, and also learning these industry micro-credentials as a part of Career Academy that I was mentioning. And one of the things that we're doing now is we're saying, look, these students who are learning on campus, learning on Coursera, are building a skills profile, right? You can see what is it that they have learned as a part of their degree. You can also see what are the skills that they have built. They've also done internships. They have done projects on Coursera. Companies and employers are telling us that hiring is changing. Skills is the new currency. And along with your degree, what are the other qualifications that you have matter a lot. We're launching something along the lines of connecting campuses to employers and saying, look, these students who are learning on Coursera, now you can actually see their skills profile. And Axis Bank is piloting this with us right now. And very recently, one of the campuses in Dehradun had 3 students who were, seen by Axis Bank. The skill profiles were seen by Axis Bank. And then these 3 students got entry-level software development and engineer jobs with Axis Bank at very exciting, roles and salaries and so on and so forth. So we're starting to see the learning translating into exciting job opportunities, and that's one of the outcomes that we have seen. And I think this will accelerate going forward. The other thing, Resham, which I mentioned earlier, was obviously, continuously building brand, building reputation, being right up there in terms of rankings is important. And we've been tracking how campuses have fared if they've adopted the Coursera for Campus platform. So 21 out of 35 campuses that have adopted Coursera for Campus saw an improvement in their NIRF ranking between 2022 and 2021. And this resulted in measurable, tangible impact. And, NIRF is ranking that is done for universities, it's done for engineering, it's done for management schools. Universities who are a part of NIRF saw an average increase in rank of 6 positions. Engineering colleges saw an increase in rank of 7 positions, and then similarly in management rankings as well. So a lot of this approach is actually translating into tangible outcomes, both on student placements, the example that I was taking with Axis Bank, or in rankings, the NIRF data that I was sharing as well. Those are some of the tangible outcomes that we've seen so far.
Good to know, Raghav. It launched in 2019. In the last three years, things have changed so quick, so fast, that now be companies or colleges, campuses, education providers need to look back and re-strategize need to go back to their drawing boards. Do you also feel the need to reframe the strategy of online content? Do you also see students' expectations changing from what they want from online courses?
Yeah, absolutely. And, if there's one thing that we are doing very actively, it is innovating furiously, right? So every year, there are about 1,000 courses that are getting added onto Coursera platform. There are another 1,000 projects that are getting added. So there's just a lot more content that is coming. The other thing which we've done over the last 2 years is, Coursera is headquartered in the Silicon Valley, started at Stanford University. And till about 2 years ago, the universities and companies who were creating content on the Coursera platform were outside of India. And over the last 2 years, 15 of our top universities in the country are now authoring content on Coursera. So I'm Ahmedabad, I'm Calcutta, IIT Bombay, IIT Roorkee, IIT Guwahati, IISc, ISI, Ashoka University, OP Jindal University. So leading universities are authoring content, which is exciting because we are able to take the best of the country to learners within the country and also outside the country as well. We are seeing a great response. ISI is a top institution, but there are only 30 seats on campus, right? So we're now able to expand that to many more people. And then similarly, companies are authoring content. Many small businesses use Tally as their accounting software, and Tally has authored an industry micro-credential on Coursera. And similarly, PwC has authored a direct tax and an indirect tax micro-credential on Coursera as well. So we are doing a lot of that as well. So yeah, I could go on, but I'll stop with that. But if one thing we are focused on is innovating furiously for sure.
Good to know. Samir, coming to you, you mentioned about startups as well. I mean, given the dynamic landscape of corporate in these times is just crazy. I myself write on the subject with a startup, and there are a lot of beats under one umbrella. My point here is, how are you addressing students' needs, expectations, or demands when it comes to taking them to, let's say, traditional build-up companies or startups? The dynamics at both the places must be different. The expectations, the demands must be different. How are you addressing it?
I think on our campus, on our campus, we have a startup incubator for the last 12 years. It's called Riddle. I welcome you to visit the startup incubator. It's a combination of digital-based startups as well as hard science startups. For example, there has been a company called Square Off that actually won the Cool Tech Award at the CES in Las Vegas a few years ago. It is a chessboard that plays pieces like you feel like you're playing against a ghost. There are, for example, there's recently a new startup that is started, which is making a plant-based milk called Pilk.
Okay.
And so my point is, and we work closely with BIRAC, we closely work with DST, we work with various government schemes to provide seed funding to these startups. So there have been more than 100 such startups that have been incubated on our campus. So this is a combination of people who apply from other parts of the country, as well as many of them are own students who want to do this. As they do this, they provide internship opportunities to the other students on the campus to participate in either the research or the marketing or the work of the startup. So straight away, almost as a part of a co-learning on the campus itself, students are getting exposed to this. At the same time, they might be working in internships with the corporate world, as you have said. So you're providing an exposure and opportunity to students to either incubate their own startup with a lot of the support from Riddle, our own incubator, intern with a startup, or then work also as interns in what we talked earlier, in companies or in project teams, collaborative teams. So all these, I have to underscore that I really believe that the return to the physical campus post-COVID had shown an amazing excitement for students to be back on campus, to actually get, as we say, their feet dirty and hands wet as they experience this world. Especially when it comes to startups. There's a startup that's working on plant-based leather again, trying to make materials. So plant-based packaging to try and create. This you have to be in a laboratory. You have to work with other students. There's another startup that's trying to create a cooling thing for hair loss when you have a cancer treatment and chemotherapy. So these are all, these are students on the campus that are dreaming up these ideas. They come and try to get incubated, and they provide opportunities. So you get a excitement as to what's going on.
Good to know that, Soumya. Vidyavihar is a place where students are getting exposed to multiple things at same place, be it internships with startups, or let's say projects, or internships with corporates, and of course their online and offline theory classes as well. Raghav, coming back to you, what are some of the sectors you are witnessing that are on rise? And what are some of the courses in your observation that has seen a rise in number of registration or let's say students' interests?
Well, I mean, clearly one of the things that we are seeing, right, is how where industry is headed is definitely impacting student interest in terms of what they want to come and learn on campus as well, right? And all of us know this quite well, data as well as on a lighter note, right? That corporate India has largely said, maybe 90% of companies have said that the importance of digital, the importance of data has accelerated post-pandemic, right? And it's not a surprise. All of us as individual consumers are consuming a lot more digital. When you consume more digital, there's a lot more data generated. If a lot more data is
generated, the number of jobs also has gone up, no?
Correct.
The numbers of jobs,
And the World Economic Forum is telling us the top 10 jobs require digital skills, data skills. You know, I know CEOs will tell you digital marketing is a role that they are really focused on. Data analytics is a role that they're very focused on, because these are critical. And as you would imagine, as a result of all of this, right, we're seeing a lot more demand for computer science, a lot more demand for data science programs. We're also seeing a lot more demand for digital marketing related courses on campus. And for more traditional sciences, for more physical sciences, the importance of bringing in emerging technologies into those sciences has become quite important, right? So if you're studying to be a civil engineer, can you also think about smart cities, right? If you're studying to be somebody who works in construction management, then are you able to apply Internet of Things to the work that you're doing? Are you able to use drone technology? How are you moving from preventive maintenance to predictive maintenance, right? Are you able to predict when a machine is going to break down and take action before that? On the business side, we work with L&T extensively, and on their projects, it's no longer just about construction and concrete. It's about IoT applications, drone technology, robotics. So a lot of that is what is coming into campuses as well. And that's what we're seeing, I would imagine. This is my view. I'm sure Samir has a closer view based on what's happening at Somaiya Vidya Vihar. But yeah, that's what we are seeing at a broader level.
So clearly technology is leading the way ahead. Raghav, tell us if there are challenges in terms of when it comes to, just because you head India and South Asia, do you fairly compare the culture of learning, if I can say, in India? What is the trajectory like? What is the culture in India of learning like in the higher education, if you compare it from west of the world?
I mean, not surprisingly, and all of us know this well, right? Education is very important to all of us from a cultural standpoint. It is also almost a ticket to a successful life, a successful career, as one would imagine. The challenge has always been that the access to high quality education has been limited in higher education in the country. Not only is our gross enrollment ratio, which is just access to education, but access to high quality education is limited. And I don't think anywhere else in the world you see admit ratios of under 1% in terms of the CAT exam or the IIT JEE exams as well, right? One of the things that we are seeing is there are many private institutions who are expanding the amount of quality higher education that is available, you know, whether that's Somaiya Vidya Vihar or others. We are seeing that expanding. And the other thing which we are seeing is, and I think that's the role that we are trying to play, that how do you go to a tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 institution and up level the quality of what is being taught on campus. And you know, you would have seen this. The new education policy says 40% of the credits of an on-campus program can come from platforms like Coursera, like Swayam, of course, and others. And so how do you complement what is happening on campus? And the approach that we are seeing, which a lot of Indian institutions are taking, which is, I think, happening much more than we are seeing in other parts of the world, is campuses are saying, look, this is my opportunity to really collaborate with the outside world, right? I can bring in content from, of course, my faculty, my university, but I can bring in content from Princeton and Georgia Tech and, you know, Yale and so on. I can also bring in content from Google and IBM and Meta and so on and so forth. So my institution becomes an ecosystem of excellence, along with a lot of the experiential learning that Samir spoke about as well. So I think we're seeing very good direction. I think regulation in the country is a lot more progressive and forward thinking than we have seen elsewhere. as a part of my role, I travel to the rest of Asia a lot, right? Whether it is Central Asia or whether it is Southeast Asia and ASEAN countries, and they are looking towards India and saying, how is India thinking about growing gross enrollment ratio, increasing quality, increasing industry relevance, and the whole push towards online. So I think we're seeing a lot of progressive signs, and some of those is what I've kind of highlighted.
Good to know, Raghav. I mean, something where excess of high quality education remains a challenge for students. What is actually happening at Somaiya Vidya Vihar as well, and from a larger perspective, what's happening at other campuses as well?
I actually, sorry, agree with Raghav. Sorry, completely. That I think the regulatory policy in the country is really enabling right now. They are providing us the ability to enable our students to bring in credit for a particular program for up to 40%. Now, each university may decide how much they want to accept or not, but to be given an opportunity to enable students to that extent, that's what enables us to work with Coursera, so that some of these courses that we have outside of our own, I will say, repertoire, the students can take, or it can enable our students to take courses from a different program, which could give them experiential learning in a particular design platform, or in a forest ecology based situation. So I think we have to look at the foundations that are being laid currently with this academic bank of credits, which the UGC has now recommended, to see how it will do two things: substantially expand the ability for students to upgrade themselves, and provide access to better quality as it goes forward.
Again, Samir, I mean, you rightly mentioned, because students always are looking forward right now for job opportunities. They always rank their let's say courses or their path of learning with in alignment of their job outcomes, job opportunities. How are you prioritizing, let's say, career readiness as a part of their degree programs?
So if we divide this into how good the student's knowledge is, which comes through the classroom, through projects or internships that he or she may do, or through working with startups, and if you have the link with students and industry through internships or through research, you're automatically going to have a connect. Now, as and when you approach an interview, if the student shows knowledge that he or she has gained, whether it may be from the physical Somaiya Vidya Vihar campus, through an online course offering that he or she may have taken, let's say from Coursera, through which is accepted as part of the degree program in our degree too, or it could be through a project that the student did to create a racing car or an off-road car or a robot, or working with an internship in a startup, or done a startup themselves, that will come dramatically through. Or done, for example, in, say, social media marketing. If you were part of a team that did the social media marketing live project for, let's say the admissions, of a particular or a program, that will come through. I have met students, I want them yesterday, and I know that I don't have that capability and capacity in my industry. I also run a company today, that the whole world which the students are living in today, as we say, data is the new oil. The way they understand data, the way they live in the data world, we don't. And if you want to be an organization or industry that leapfrogs into this future, you need this talent to come into you. And if you only talk to students and see the variety of projects they've done, courses they've got, credentials they've received, experiences they've had, you're going to take them in straight away. So you have to develop closer links as an academia and industry, so that that bridge is kept.
Good to know. When it comes to a good blend of industry and academia, and when students get to explore so much at campuses, their future in terms of career looks promising. Raghav, coming
I
to you,
welcome you
you
to our
also-
campus. Risham, please come and visit
Thanks,
us.
thanks, Samir. I would love to. Raghav, you also work with both industry and academia in India. What are some of the recent developments you are working on to drive impact when it comes to building, let's say, future-ready talent? Just because the dynamics are changing so swiftly, what do you say?
Let me take one specific point there, Visham, and we hear this from leaders in academia quite a lot, right? That look, clearly industry has very quickly changed in the last 3 years. A lot of technology adoption has accelerated. Now, how does a university think about translating that into curricula, right? That is a question which, of course, needs to be answered. And it feels like there's a lot of noise and there are not enough clear signals, right? You're told, oh, there are 100 different technologies, they will change every 3 months and so on. So we hear this from a lot of leaders in academia that in terms of how industry is changing, how technologies are changing, we get a lot of noise, but there aren't clear signals. And that's one of the roles that we've been playing. We've been saying, look, we do work, and I'm just taking an example in technology right now, but we do work with leading technology companies and we know how they're thinking about what technology is going to look like in the next 2-3 years. So how do you take that and come with a comprehensive, simple to understand point of view to leaders in academia and say, look, here's how your curriculum in computer science should change. Should you be thinking about, a BTech computer science with specialization in AI and machine learning? Should you be thinking about BTech with CS with specialization in robotics and so on and so forth? So that's one of the roles where bringing a lot of insight from industry into how campuses should be thinking about curricula is a role that we've been playing. I would say the other role that we've been playing is working with campuses to bring this to students. And, as an insight, there are 2 crore people who come to the Coursera consumer platform, the retail platform, to learn. If you go to Coursera.org, you're going as an individual to learn. Of those 2 crore people, almost 85% are working professionals. Only 15% are students. And the reason only 15% students come to Coursera themselves is because when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you don't necessarily have that self-direction to say, this is what I should be learning. What works well is when a campus tells a student, look, you are doing a BSc data science on campus, along with what we are teaching you and the experiential learning that we're giving you, come and take this Google certificate, come and take this Tableau project on Coursera. So what works for students is when we partner with campuses, and then the campus is the one who's telling the student, here's what you learn on campus, here's what you learn online, and it is one seamless experience for you. So that's the role that we are playing, right? Bring clarity on what is how industry is shaping up for the next 3-4 years, and then also help campuses, enable campuses, I should say, show one consolidated, one clear picture to their students that can then help them with their learning.
So good. If I can put it in 3 C's, Samir. So Coursera catalyzing campuses, if I can. We'll just close with one quick question. In your opinion, how would higher education in India, the future of learning, would shape up in next 5 years? Quickly, your closing remarks, Samir, if you would like to take it up.
Fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. I think the speed at which higher education in India is evolving and innovating, I think it will be a place of global learning in the next 5 to 10 years. I also think that we are a multilingual country with multi-cultures, and as we keep growing in the world of data and machine learning and artificial intelligence, I also see great evolution in our institutions to provide a much and richly layered experience to our students across the board. So I think it's a fantastic environment, very exciting time to be here.
Good to know, Samir. Raghav?
Yeah, I would echo that. And I would say we are likely to see more collaboration between campuses and industry. So increasing collaboration. I think we will continue to see industry's role as an educator continuing to expand. campuses and companies are building talent pipelines, and we're enabling that. And in all of this, empowering faculty is going to be key as well for the future. So absolutely exciting.
Just to add to it, Raghav, what can we expect new from Coursera for Campus in 2023?
I think so Talent Pipelines is launching on April 12th formally.
Okay.
That's coming. There's going to be a lot of leading universities authoring fully online degrees as well. In late last year, BITS Pilani launched a very exciting BSc Computer Science. It's very hard to get into BITS on campus, but you can come and learn online. It's accessible to many, many people. So we'll see some more of that. So yeah, those are the two that come to my mind right away.
Thank you so much. It was really insightful, and with your insights and observations, I can confidently say that India's future for higher education looks really promising, and even better when Western part of the world is also looking up to India and better possibilities. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for your time, Raghav and Samir. We look forward to more such conversations. Thank you.
I look forward. हमारे campus पे जरूर आइएगा.
Sure. I would love to.
Thank you.
Thank you, Raghav.
Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful being here.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.